the tale of the tiny cake and the tremendous tantrum. In the dim and distant past, during my tenure at a certain bulk retail establishment, my role was fairly straightforward. I was, for lack of a better term, a cart retrieval specialist, tasked with wrangling those hefty, metallic shopping carts that often seem to possess a will of their own. It wasn't the most glamorous job, granted, but it had its perks. Fresh air, exercise, and mostly minimal interaction with the members, as we were instructed to call them. Heaven forbid we use the term customers, keyword mostly. By it, you see, this particular retail giant had a reputation, shall we say, for frugality. This often translated to being understaffed, particularly out in the sprawling parking expanse. More often than not, I was a lone ranger in a sea of rogue shopping carts. So what? Thou, you might scoff. You collected carts. Try doing my job. Well, hold your horses there, armchair critic. This is my anecdote, thank you very much. My point is, being the sole cart attendant was challenging because this store had a veritable menagerie of cart types. We had your standard shopping carts, the kiddie carts shaped like cars, the motorized scooters, which had a nasty habit of escaping the store's confines, and then the behemoths, the flatbed carts. And if anyone needed assistance loading their gargantuan purchases into their SUVs, guess who got the call? Yours truly, because the greeters, cashiers, and managers were naturally, perpetually occupied. As you can imagine, being in multiple places at once is a skill I unfortunately had not yet mastered. Consequently, on busy days, keeping the car vestibule adequately stocked became a Herculean task. Our story unfolds on just such a day. There I was, diligently pushing lines of carts, feeling like a hamster on a wheel, desperately trying to keep pace with the relentless influx of bargain hunters. Naturally, my radio crackled to life. Manager, yasin static. Well, cart crew, can you assist a member with loading? Static. Me. With all due respect, I'm barely keeping my head above water out here. Manager, car is static, just do it. You can spare a minute or two from cart duty. Static. Narrator voice. He really couldn't. Not wanting to incur any managerial wrath, I reluctantly complied. 20 minutes later, after wrestling bulk quantities of paper towels and mountains of snack foods into various vehicles, it seems when one person needs loading assistance, suddenly everyone does. I returned to the vestibule to find it practically deserted, except for a dwindling line of carts and her the quintessential Karen. I won't insult your intelligence with a detailed description. She was the archetype, you know the look. She stood there radiating impatience, tapping her foot with a rhythm that could rival a drum solo. Her eyes could curdle milk with a single glance. Karen Dosialid, where are the big flat carts? My brain momentarily short-circuited. Excuse me? Karen, are you even listening? For the record, I was. Karen, where are the flat carts? Oh, you mean the flatbeds. My apologies, I was just assisting other members with loading and haven't had a chance to restock them yet. Karen, oh my god, I don't need your excuses. You have one job and a child could do it. Desperate to expedite this interaction, I conceded. Sorry ma'am, I'll retrieve one from the parking lot for you right away. Karen, you better. So I ventured back into the parking lot and unearthed a train of flatbeds hogging several parking spaces. I herded them into the vestibule, where she stood, sighing dramatically about my egregious waste of her precious time. I detached a flatbed from the line and presented it to her with a forced smile. Terribly sorry for the delay, ma'am. She glared at me with pure disdain. Karen, unbelievable. And with that, she swept into the store, presumably to unleash her brand of charm upon some unsuspecting employees within. I shook my head and resumed my cart retrieval duties. About 15 minutes later, I was pushing another line of carts back inside when I spotted her struggling to maneuver her flatbed cart towards a sporty little car, all while loudly complaining on her phone about incompetent people, undoubtedly referring to yours truly. And you'll never guess what precious cargo necessitated the use of a flatbed cart. Prepare yourselves, a cake, and not even a particularly large cake. One of those small, round cakes, the kind you might pick up for a modest family gathering. Anyway, I watched as she continued her tirade about how I had nearly ruined, I tell you, her darling child's birthday celebration, when suddenly divine intervention occurred. Still clutching her phone with the tenacity of a raptor, she attempted to lift the cake from the flatbed with a single hand. The plastic lid popped off and the cake executed a perfect swan dive, landing frosting down all over her undoubtedly expensive designer attire. Her face contorted with incandescent rage, she locked eyes with me. Karen, you get me another cake, now. Me. Deepest apologies, ma'am, but these carts aren't going to collect themselves. And with that I turned and walked away, a wide, possibly unprofessional grin plastered across my face as her escalating shrieks faded into the background. I've encountered my fair share of unpleasant customers in my retail days, but this one really took the cake. Oh, the schadenfreude is strong with this one. That cake got exactly what it deserved, and so did Karen. If you want more sweet justice like this, hit that subscribe button. Stranded mother gets a rude awakening at 3 a.m. So, picture this. It's around 3 in the morning, and I'm unwinding in my living room deep into a video game. My parents are out of town, leaving me to enjoy the blissful solitude of an empty house. I'm lounging in my bra and underwear, in peak relaxation mode, when bam, a knock at the door. Who in the world could that be, I think, scrambling to throw on some clothes before answering. Lo and behold, it's a family acquaintance, accompanied by her perpetually fussy child. Oh, and she's very pregnant, a detail that will become relevant shortly. Hey Naeem, what's up? Altron asks, trying to sound welcoming despite the ungodly hour. She explains, my car broke down and the tow truck can't come until morning. Any chance me and child's name can crash here for the night? Being a decent person, I say, yeah, sure, you guys can take the living room. I let them in, still half asleep and utterly bewildered. Want anything to eat or drink? I offer, trying to be a good host. Coffee would be amazing if it's not too much trouble. She replies, no problem, Saidi, I say, heading to the kitchen to start brewing some coffee. That's when I notice her little darling making a beeline for my gaming controller. Hey sweetie, could you please put that down for a sec? I say gently. Oh, can he play a game? She asks, already setting the stage for trouble. Not really, I'm in the middle of playing something, and it's probably not the kind of game he'd be into. I try to explain politely. But he really wants to, don't you, sweetie pie? She coos to the kid, encouraging the impending meltdown. I want to play. The kid wails predictably. I'm sorry, but no, you can't play right now, I reiterate firmly. Cue nuclear tantrum. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play, and then wham! He hurls the controller at my TV screen, shattering it into a spiderweb of cracks. What the heck? I exclaim, rushing over to assess the damage to my precious TV. Hey, don't you raise your voice at my child, she scolds, completely missing the point. Are you serious right now? You just let him destroy my TV like this, I retort, my voice understandably raised in disbelief and anger. Well, it's your fault for not letting him play the video game. She deflects as if this is perfectly rational. I said no, and maybe you should teach your kid that he can't just get everything he demands. I snap back, my patience wearing thinner than my shattered TV screen. How dare you? Just wait until I tell your mother how you treated him. You'll make a terrible mother, she huffs, resorting to personal attacks. Good thing I'm not planning on having kids, especially if they turn out like that. I gesture towards her still screaming child. And if I did, I certainly wouldn't let them become spoiled brats like him. You're being the brat right now. Just buy a new TV and stop whining, she declares, as if TVs grow on trees. Oh, I'll definitely get a new TV with the money. You're gonna pay me for the broken one, I state, crossing my arms. What? But you're the one who upset little child's name? She protests as if her child's violent outburst was somehow my fault. You know what? Just get out of my house. You and your kid are no longer welcome here, I say, reaching my breaking point. What the heck is wrong with you? I'm pregnant, and have a toddler, and it's 3 a.m. You can't just kick out a stranded pregnant mother and her child into the cold, she shrieks, pulling out the helpless victim card. Oh yes, I absolutely can, you unbelievable person. Get the heck out of my house before I call the police, I yell, pointing towards the door. as she scoops up her still wailing child and heads for the exit. She throws one last jab. "Just wait until I tell your mother about this." "Yeah, and I'll gladly tell her about how your precious angel smashed my TV and you refuse to take responsibility," I retort, slamming the door behind them. The next morning I called my parents and recounted the entire chaotic saga. They were completely on my side, knowing I was never raised to be a spoiled brat myself. My mom in particular was furious and called acquaintance from hell, giving her a piece of her mind. Mom made it clear that if she didn't pay for the damages, we would pursue legal action. She tried to pull the woe is me single pregnant mother routine, but it didn't fly. She coughed up the $500 for a new TV, and we promptly cut all ties with her. P.S. Turns out the reason they were out and about at 3 a.m. in the first place, little darling had a craving for McDonald's and refused to go to bed without it. Priorities, right? Boundaries? What boundaries, Mom? Converts guest room into a nursery after being excluded from grandchild's life. I'm currently expecting my first baby, and the entire pregnancy journey has been overshadowed by the appalling behavior of my mother and stepfather. From the moment we shared our joyous news, they've been nothing but critical and demeaning towards both me and my partner. They declared us unfit to be parents simply because we aren't married, and my stepfather actually screamed at my partner for getting their little girl pregnant, completely disregarding the fact that this pregnancy was a planned and wanted event. The harassment escalated to daily phone calls to my partner, berating him and even showing up at his workplace, attempting to manipulate him into leaving me so I would supposedly have no choice but to move back in with them. As time went on, their behavior only intensified, creating an unbearable level of stress. Finally, I made the difficult decision to cut off all contact. Bringing a child into the world is already a significant life change, and having them constantly inject negativity into our lives was simply something I couldn't tolerate for my own well-being and the well-being of my growing family. My partner and I have navigated considerable family turmoil in recent years, and this baby is a beacon of hope and excitement for us. If my parents are incapable of treating my partner with basic respect, then they certainly don't deserve to have a relationship with our child. Furthermore, their reckless disregard for public health, consistently refusing to wear masks and actively participating in large crowded gatherings made the prospect of them being around a newborn infant utterly unthinkable. With all of this in mind, I composed a very detailed email to my mother, clearly outlining the reasons for my decision to permanently remove her from my life and consequently from her grandchild's life. To underscore the finality of my decision, I also informed her that we would be relocating across the country shortly after the baby's arrival to be closer to my partner's family. This wasn't just a temporary break, it was a definitive severing of ties both emotionally and geographically. Her immediate reaction was exactly what I had come to expect. She showed up at our house at 11 p.m., pounding on the door and screaming about how this was her baby too, and how she was entitled to be involved. I firmly told her to leave, and eventually, thankfully, she did. Months passed with no direct contact save for a few bizarre, seemingly innocuous text messages from her, usually asking for help with trivial technical issues like problems with her Wi-Fi router. These minor requests felt like veiled attempts to re-establish contact, but I kept my responses brief and strictly informational, not engaging in any actual conversation. Then my cousin inadvertently sent my baby shower invitation to my mother's house. My mother used this as an excuse to drop by and personally deliver the invitation. Gradually, a fragile, superficial truce seemed to develop. We became somewhat polite to each other in these fleeting interactions, but I remained steadfast in my boundaries. Nothing had genuinely changed, and she was fully aware of this. Then today, she sent me a video that left me utterly speechless. She had completely transformed her guest room into a full-fledged nursery, a crib, a changing table, what looked like hundreds of dollars worth of newborn clothes still in their packaging, a toy chest overflowing with plush animals, a stroller, a car seat for her car. The list went on and on. In the video, she was visibly emotional, on the verge of tears, cooing, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe my baby is gonna be here soon. This is where she'll sleep, where I'll change her little diapers. These will be all her toys." Was she living in an alternate reality? Her baby, sleeping and living at her house? What? Completely bewildered and frankly alarmed, I immediately called her. I reiterated calmly but firmly that we were still moving across the country imminently, and that she would have absolutely no contact with the baby before or after the move. Her response, delivered with chilling dismissiveness, Oh, okay, we will see about that. I am genuinely struggling to comprehend her mindset. What part of you will have no contact with this baby? Is she failing to grasp, or perhaps deluding herself into believing will magically change in the next few weeks? Is she seriously contemplating trying to take our baby? I am at a complete loss for words and frankly quite scared. Building a whole nursery after being told no contact, that's not just denial, that's full-blown delusional entitlement in action. Festival face-off entitled Mom Insists My Whiskey Coke is for Her Child Funding. You can guess what happened next. Alright, gather round for a tale from the recent Liberation Day celebrations in Holland. You see, last weekend marked this holiday, and numerous cities hosted festivals. Many of these events are free to enter, which means they're usually quite strict about attendees bringing in outside food and drinks, all in the name of maximizing their own vendor profits. Luckily, a friend of mine lives right in the festival area, so our usual strategy is to stash our beverages at his place and pop back to his house for refills as needed. Now, walking around with a full bottle of Jack Daniels wasn't exactly subtle, so I cleverly mixed myself a stealthy concoction. I poured a generous amount of JD into a 1-liter Coca-Cola vanilla bottle, topping it off with just enough Coke to maintain that recognizable cola appearance. Festival beverage successfully smuggled. For those unfamiliar with the acronyms, JD, of course, refers to my trusty companion, Jack Daniels. We've been through thick and thin together, that bottle and I, so there I was, strolling through the festival grounds, casually clutching my Coke bottle when I felt a tap on my shoulder. Festival courtesy dictates that a tap means someone wants to pass, so I naturally stepped to the side to allow them through, and then resumed my merry way. But then a hand clamped down on my shoulder, yanking me back. I turned around to face the perpetrator, and wouldn't you know it, classic Karen material right there. Where did you get that? Gesturing emphatically at my bottle. Me. Brought it from home. Ganit, can my kid have some? Me, trying to be discreet about my illicit beverage. Denitre, they're selling Coke over there. You can just buy your kid a fresh cold one. They don't have vanilla Coke there, and he doesn't like the regular kind. He wants yours. None extends hand expectantly. Me, that if he doesn't like the regular one, I really doubt he'll like this any better. Right on cue, the kid pipes up, escalating the situation with a whine about being parched and how he wants that one, while EM fixes me with a demanding, unwavering stare. Me. Alright, look, lady, I'm gonna be straight with you. Half of this bottle is whiskey, and I really don't think it's a smart idea to give a kid whiskey. You're lying, you just made that up so you wouldn't have to share with my baby. Now give it to me. As I attempted a polite shrug and started to turn away, hoping to blend back into the festival crowd and escape this bizarre encounter, lightning struck. The kid, with surprising speed, lunged forward, grabbed the bottle with both hands, wrestled it from my grasp and bolted. Mom naturally was hot on his heels. I followed, catching up just in time to witness the glorious, albeit predictable, outcome. The kid took several massive gulps of my whiskey Coke concoction and then almost instantaneously began projectile vomiting everywhere. Deciding that pursuing the now vomit-covered bottle of my Jack and Coke wasn't the most appealing course of action, I opted to cut my losses and head back to my friend's place to mix a fresh one. As I walked past the still stunned and slightly green-tinged EM, I couldn't resist a quiet, "Told you," before melting into the throng of people. Mere seconds later, EM was upon me, charging like a bull seeing red. She launched herself at me, attempting to take a swing. "You poisoned my baby, security!" she shrieked at the top of her lungs. Bystanders quickly intervened, separating us before any actual blows were exchanged. A nearby stall vendor, witnessing the escalating drama, flagged down security S, who then proceeded to question both myself and the irate mother. He gave my baby this bottle of poison and told him it was Coke. I want him arrested. Excuse. No, sir, what's in this bottle? Me. A pre-mixed whiskey and Coke, and to be honest, I was a little heavy-handed with the whiskey. S. And why did you give this to a child? Me. I didn't, sir. My plan was mostly to enjoy it myself, to be perfectly honest. They assumed it was coke, refused to believe me when I told them it was alcoholic, and then the kid just snatched the bottle from me. What you're seeing now is simply the result of the kid taking a drink before I could stop him. At this opportune moment, a bystander chimed in, confirming that he had indeed seen the child grab the bottle from my hand, though he hadn't overheard our preceding conversation. Security, assessing the situation, firmly told the mom to knock it off, instructed her to take her still crying and now thoroughly nauseous child to the first aid station, and then turned to me with a knowing look, advising me to be more cautious with the next batch I was inevitably about to make. The audacity of this woman, demanding a stranger's drink for her child, then acting shocked when whiskey coke isn't kid-friendly. What's the most entitled thing you've ever seen a parent try to pull? Walmart injustice entitled mother's child pilfers my white cane. Let me provide a little background. I'm a 28-year-old woman who, in recent times, has lost her sight completely. During my teenage years, I volunteered with my youth group in Mississippi to assist with the Hurricane Katrina rebuilding efforts. It was there that I unfortunately contracted a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis. Over more than a decade, this parasite migrated to my eyes, gradually causing me to lose my vision. It's been about a year since I became totally blind, so I'm still relatively new to navigating the world without sight, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Initially, after going blind, I became quite withdrawn, rarely venturing outside my home and feeling apprehensive about public spaces. I felt acutely self-conscious, as if everyone was scrutinizing me, and frankly, I was still learning the ropes. The transition was incredibly challenging and I lacked a proper support system to guide me. One day my husband asked if I could take a rideshare to the bank to deposit our rent check, and with some hesitation I agreed. While I was out, he texted again reminding me that we were running low on some essential groceries. Conveniently, there was a Walmart grocery store directly across the street from the bank. I reasoned that every outing was a learning opportunity, and that I needed to learn to shop independently eventually, so why not seize the moment? Initially, things were going smoothly. I was only picking up a few items, so I didn't require a shopping cart. I was using my white cane and relying on my nascent echolocation skills to navigate the aisles, though I still occasionally bumped into things, as is sometimes unavoidable for those of us with visual impairments. Suddenly, my cane made contact with something a bit softer than a shelf or display. Assuming I had inadvertently bumped someone's leg, I immediately began to apologize. That's when entitled kid EK and entitled mother EM entered the scene. Me, oh goodness, I am so sorry. Hey, watch it, you just hit my son. Me, I am truly sorry, ma'am, I didn't see him there. EM escalating immediately. How could you not see him? He is standing right here. Now it's true that I'm completely blind, but I don't typically wear sunglasses, partly because affording a good UV blocking pair is a significant expense, but also because I'm not seeking pity or trying to conform to some stereotypical image of a blind person. I simply want to be treated as an individual, but I understand that visual impairment exists on a spectrum, and people often have misconceptions, so I attempted to explain calmly. Me, ma'am, I am blind. I cannot see anything, including your son. That is precisely why I use this cane, to help me navigate without... She cuts me off, her voice dripping with incredulity. If you're blind, then why aren't you wearing those big dark sunglasses? As a blind person, I field a lot of uninformed questions. However, I generally understand that many of these questions stem from a lack of awareness, not malice, so I usually try to answer them patiently and informatively. Me, those types of specialized sunglasses can be quite expensive. A good pair can cost around $200, and I don't really need them indoors. EM, now fully convinced I am deceiving her. You are not blind, you're just faking it. This is where my patience completely evaporated and my blood began to boil. I cannot fathom why anyone would choose to pretend to be blind. It is an incredibly challenging reality, a constant struggle. Nothing infuriates me more than being falsely accused of dishonesty, especially about something so deeply personal and difficult. Just as I was about to retort, I felt a sharp tug, and in a split second I realized this miniature menace had snatched my $100 white cane directly from my hand. For those who may not understand, this is akin to being plunged into complete darkness while navigating a crowded space, like if the power suddenly went out in the store and you were left completely sightless. Without my cane, my mobility is severely compromised. I can barely take a step without risking a collision. My voice trembled with the mixture of panic and rising anger as I pleaded, "Please give that back. I really need it." M, completely unmoved, "No, you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you do." I could hear them shuffling away, my expensive cane scraping and clattering against metal displays and shelves as they disappeared. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I began frantically waving my arms in front of me, desperately trying to grasp onto something, anything, to orient myself. In my disorientation, I stumbled and fell heavily into a central aisle display, creating a loud, embarrassing commotion. Completely overwhelmed, I instinctively curled into a ball on the floor and sobbed. I was alone, vulnerable, in a public place, plunged into darkness with absolutely no idea what to do. Suddenly, I felt a reassuring hand on my shoulder, and a deep, calm male voice, we'll call him AG for awesome guy, asked if I was alright and instructed me to stay put. I nodded, at least managing to sit up and focus on his voice. This man must have been quite tall and powerfully built, because his footsteps sounded like a giant's, and I felt a rush of air as he moved away quickly. From maybe 30 or 40 feet away, I heard a loud guttural bellow like an angry lion roaring, followed by a resounding crash. Then in what felt like moments, the man was back, gently helping me to my feet. He took my hand and placed my cane back into my palm, then helped me gather the items I had dropped when I had fallen into the display. Me, wiping away the tears streaming down my face. Thank you so much. I honestly didn't know how to handle that situation, AG. Don't even worry about it. Some people are just monsters. This incredible man completely restored my faith in humanity in that moment. He even assisted me with finishing my shopping and then escorted me safely out of the store. As we were leaving, I could distinctly hear the familiar grating screech of EM's voice, something about AG having grabbed the cane, pulled it forcefully, and sent her precious child flying into a shopping cart. I have no idea if she was exaggerating for dramatic effect or not, but it would certainly explain the loud crash I had heard earlier. It is easy to feel isolated and vulnerable in a world without sight, but even amidst the sheer terror of having my cane stolen, I found a glimmer of hope. At least I now know with certainty that there are genuinely good people out there, people who are willing to stand up for me even when I am at my most vulnerable and in need. Stealing a white cane is just pure cruelty, not entitlement. Awesome Guy's the real hero here. What did you think of Awesome Guy's reaction? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe for more crazy entitled parent tales. Have a good one.